Hey guys, and welcome back to Polestar Tech. In this video, we will talk about variables and different data types. So what is a data type? A data type is nothing but a categorization of data of different types. A data type defines a set of values along with operations that can be performed on those values. Explicit values we use in our programs are known as literals. For example, the number 12, 4.5, and hello are all called literals. Each literal has a type associated with it. For example, number 12 has the type int, which means integer. 4.5 has the type float, which are real numbers. And hello has the type string, which is a character. It is the type of literal which determines which kinds of operations that can be performed on it. Python has a built-in function called type, which we can use to determine the data type of the literal. So let's go to terminal. So once we open up terminal, let's type in Python 3 or Python to access interactive mode. And let's write in type 54, type 90, type 5.5, and type 3.14. So let's see what we have here. The class int that you see first indicates that the type of 54 is an integer, an int. Similarly, class of string and class float indicate that the literal that is entered into the function is a string and float respectively. But at first, you may think that 3.14 is a type float. But since 3.14 is surrounded by double quotes, it's wrapped around these quotes, it's actually a string. For the same reasons, 90 is also a string. Python also has many other data types, which we will discuss later. Variables are used to store data in our programs. We also use variables to access data, as well as manipulate data. A variable is called so because its value can be changed. It is variable to change. To create a variable in Python, we have to use the following assignment statement. Variable name equals expression. This variable name is the name of the variable. This equal sign is known as the assignment operator. And expression is just a combination of values, variables, and operators. Let's type some examples together. So let's go to our text editor and type in, let's say, score equals 50. So this statement creates a variable named score and assigns it to the value 50. But when the Python interpreter encounters statements like this, what does it do behind the scenes? So behind the scenes, what this statement does is that it stores the variable 50 somewhere in your memory on your computer and makes this value, this variable score, refer to that point in memory. The important thing to understand here is that the variable score itself doesn't contain any value. It only refers to a specific memory location which contains this value. Also, unlike languages like C, C++, and Java, in Python we don't have to declare the type of the variable ahead of time. If you try and do so, it results into a syntax error, as you see below. Python automatically detects the type of the variable and operations that can be performed on it based on the type of the value it contains. In programming, this behavior is known as dynamic typing. It also means that we can use the same variable to refer to data of a completely different type than it initially points to. For example, let's take away the score, and on the next line, let's type in score equals, let's say, now, as in someone is scoring now. When we assign a new value to the variable, the reference to this old value is now lost. So let's print out score. And remember, the print function will print out any value that's given to it onto the intended screen. So let's save this and run it. We see that the value we get in return is now. The value 50 is completely gone. At this point, no variable is pointing to that specific memory location. When this happens, Python interpreter automatically removes the value from the memory through a process known as garbage collection. If you try accessing a variable before assigning any value to it, you will get a name error like this. So let's say we wanted to print score before we actually start the game. As you see, we get a name error because score, as it is typed over here, is not defined yet. It is actually defined in the line that comes after. This also shows that Python executes each line one at a time. So now let's look at variables and how to name them. On this topic in the last video, you can only use letters, A to Z or capital A to Z, underscore, and numbers. Nothing else. Variable names must begin with an underscore or letter. They cannot begin with a number. And you also cannot use reserved words or keywords to create variables. And also, a variable name can be of any length. Python is also a case-sensitive language, which means that home and home are two completely different variables. We can also assign values to multiple variables at once using simultaneous assignment, which has the following syntax. So variable 1, variable 2, and variable 3, to as many variables you have, equals value 1, val 2, to however many variables which you define. When Python encounters a simultaneous assignment statement, it first evaluates all the expression on the right-hand side, then assigns that value to the corresponding variable on the left side. You can also use this method to swap variables with each other. So let's say you have A, comma B equals 1, comma 2. What this does is that it assigns A to the value of 1 and B to the value of 2. But let's say you want to swap those values together. You can also make A, comma B equals B, comma A. So in many other languages, you need to have an extra temporary variable in order to swap these values. But in Python, it makes it so much easier by using simultaneous assignment syntax to be able to swap these variables. So now if you run this program by printing out A, printing out B in the next line, what this does is, you see A is now 2 and B is now 1. So guys, this is it for this time. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and press that notification bell so you don't miss a single new episode that I post. Thank you for watching. This is Polestar Tech, and I'll see you in the next one.